So I think I finally might be able to play my favourite Escape from Tarkov map again, and that is all thanks to a brand new update that Battlestate have released, which included a bunch of fixes, but the most important one in my eyes is the fix to indoor fog glow on Interchange and Reserve, and combining this with various optimizations in the lighting system components, this actually makes lighting in Interchange and Reserve, and pretty much all locations actually, a hell of a lot better. Now prior to this there were locations, especially on Interchange and Reserve, where you couldn't see 10 feet in front of your face because it was just too foggy. The indoor fog had a hue and a glow to it which just shouldn't have been a thing. It was making everywhere, even like small indoor stores on the Interchange map, pretty much you couldn't see the back of them because there was just a hue and a glow to each of the rooms due to the fog inside. Now the fog inside has not only been reduced, but the glow of the fog has been pretty much removed, allowing us to see not just inside of a room, but along massive stretches of corridor, which would have been impossible before, and you'd have a really hard time seeing people. Now you could read graffiti on the wall with a high-powered optic if you wanted to, and it looks absolutely amazing. Now from the moment I saw these patch notes I was hyped, but as soon as the patch went live I decided to go straight into Interchange and have a wander around. Now I did this in offline, and I did this with various different fog conditions and at various times of day. I did no fog, I did light fog, I did heavy fog, and I also did it in morning, noon and evening time, and I also did it at night as well. And everything is a massive improvement. Even at night you could see much clearer inside of the Interchange shopping mall, but the main thing that you're going to notice is no matter whether it's sunny outside, raining outside, hugely foggy outside, the inside still looks clear. Although it might not be bright inside, you can still see things in far distances. The only time you're going to struggle is when the lighting is shining in your face, but even then you can see distance. You might just need to shoot out a light because the light inside is the only thing that is going to blind you, rather than having the fog with a mysterious glow on it now that should never have been there in the first place. Now I did all of these walkabouts without any post effects on, and I was pleasantly surprised. Usually I have to compensate quite a lot with my post effects, but even turning this all off, it made a huge improvements nevertheless. Now starting in the underground and parking sections of the shopping mall in Interchange, we discovered that not only did it appear brighter, even though there was no changing to the amount of light underground, it still appeared lighter due to the lack of fog obscuring your view, and also you were able to pick out sightlines to be able to use long range scopes again and actually feel like that would actually benefit you in a firefight. Not only that, but the contrast of going from the underground to viewing outside isn't so drastic now because of the fog, so you're able to actually see certain locations outside even though you're underground, which before it would just be like you're looking out into a bright light. Well, now you don't have to worry about that. If you wanted to, you can camp people on the highway even if you're sitting in the underground section. As long as you've got a view, you should be able to see it. Now it's still dark down there, so don't get me wrong, you're still going to need a flashlight, but all the footage you can see on screen, it just looks like a stark night and day difference compared to what it was. Moving upstairs to the first floor of the shopping mall, this is where you're going to notice the main differences here. So walking around generally feels really nice. If you're aiming down the middle corridor from the hole in the floor side all the way along towards Mantis, TCS, etc., you're actually able to see all the way down the end, and that is the prime example of being able to read graffiti on the wall if you've got a high powered scope. Now I was standing on the boxes behind the hole in the floor that leads up from the underground section, and there was no loss in clarity when aiming a Valde scope from one end to the other. I was able to see everything really clearly, although still dark because obviously Interchange hasn't got a load of lighting in it, but you're still able to pick out details. You're certainly able to pick out a person if they were moving left to right, right to left, or running around a corner. You'll be able to pick that out nice and easy, even if you weren't scoped in. So when you do scope in, you'll be able to see players, you'll be able to pick them off there won't be fog obscuring your view, and you certainly won't be missing shots because of the fog anymore. The same can be said for the larger superstores inside of the mall, so Oli, Goshan and Idea, all much clearer to see, especially if you're aiming down the longer hallways and the longer sightlines. I stood on top of a few boxes in the back of Goshan and I was able to see all the way to the other end and to see the back wall. So as long as there's no obstacles in the way, you're still able to see people, not a problem at all, with the only lighting being the industrial lights that are positioned around the place with generators, and obviously the massive fire in Goshen as well. So if there was no shelving units, an amazing sightline, but I'm afraid there's a load of shelving units, so you're still not going to be able to see too far unless you've got quite a bit of height to be able to see over those shelving units. A weird difference that I didn't expect to see, but it's a pleasant one and a welcome one nevertheless, is actually the smaller stores, and more specifically the darker stores, appear brighter. So German, one of the tech stores directly opposite Mantis, and Mantis itself, for example, both really easy to see inside now without any post effects, without any flashlights. You can see from the front door where the industrial light is in Mantis, you can actually see the back wall without any degradation in clarity, and you don't need to worry about a flashlight. So you can see anyone hiding in a dark corner, and you can pick out players really easily in comparison to other objects that are just sitting around the place inside the store. Yes, they're still dark, so don't worry about that. It's still got some depth and got some clarity to it, but you're able to see players and distinguish them a lot easier now inside of the darker stores, which is always welcome. Moving up to the second floor now, you have something that you can now redo, whereas you haven't been able to do it since the start of Interchange, since Interchange was first introduced into Tarkov, and that was shoot from one end of the long hallway by the big window to the other. So if someone was standing all the way down by Techlight and you're by the escalators all the way by Trend and Idea, you can actually see clearly with a powered scope and no degradation in clarity at all. You can still see everything nice and clearly, no fog, no nothing to get in your way. Looking down the middle from all the sale signs, you can see from one end to the other no problem. The only thing that will degrade your vision is the actual lighting, the overhead lighting, and obviously the skylights as well. If it's too bright outside, or if the lights are bright and it is obviously nighttime, you will see a bit of glow off of those lights, but that's natural, that should happen, whereas there's no fog to increase this glow massively so you can't see a thing at the opposite end of the hallway. And the same at the opposite end as well. If you was to look down the escalators that are just above Goshen and look all the way towards the very front entrance of the shopping mall, you can see it clearly. You can even see outside if it isn't super foggy outside. You can see all the way to the highway, which is something that you haven't been able to do, like I say, since Interchange was first introduced into Tarkov. It's a great improvement to what it was. It's still not perfect. I still think lighting could be improved. There could be more spots of light, for example, and darker spots as well, but nevertheless, a 1,000,000% improvement over what we had, and I am forever grateful because we've been asking for this for a long time. Now, although I've covered Interchange a lot because it is my favourite map in Tarkov, Reserve, as I mentioned, has also had some love, so it's also in just the underground areas, but if you go underneath the K buildings, that has got a massive improvement. You can see all the way down the end, although it is extremely dark, so you will need a flashlight. The flashlights do make a hell of an improvement, although you will see a slight reduction in clarity when aiming down sights with a flashlight on, but again, that's always the case whether you're inside or outside. Doesn't matter, flashlights do degrade the quality when looking down sights. The main place that you're going to notice all of these improvements though are underneath the pawn buildings and the queen buildings and all that area. So that area where D2 is, I went down there, just walked through it. It looks night and day different. It looks so much better. You can see people hiding in corners a lot easier. It's lit up, although there are still dark spots. And you can actually be able to see without any random fog in patches and corners, which hindered the experience. Even going down to D2 in the small rooms that are down there, there's no fog anymore, and that makes a hell of a lot of difference to look at. Even though I barely play reserve, I still notice the difference walking down there, and I'm sure the reserve fanboys will love this change as well. Now, whether you're one of those fanboys or if you're like me and just think that this is the first patch that they've got right in a very long time, I want to hear from you down below in the comments. I want to know all your thoughts and opinions on these changes, whether you're going to start playing Interchange more because of it, and all of that fun stuff. But thank you so much for watching. Hope this video was fun or enjoyable or anything along those lines. If it was, likes always appreciated, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, and well done BSG.